This tutorial will deal with the development of optical biosensor for point-of-care test devices. In particular, when dealing with selective sensors, two different components can be distinguished, which are the molecular recognition element and the transduction system. In the case of conventional biosensors, the molecular recognition element is a biological one, such as, for instance, in the case of antibodies, enzymes, aptamers, and so on. Whereas, in the case of conventional chemical sensors, this molecular recognition element is non-biological, such as in the case, for instance, of molecularly imprinted polymers, nanomips, and so on. With regards to the transduction system, its role is to convert the interaction between the analyte and its specific receptor into a measurable signal, which can be, for instance, a current, a voltage, a frequency, a wavelength, and so on. With specific regards to optical biosensors, we can claim that they present several advantages, mainly related, for instance, to high sensitivity, the possibility of real-time monitoring, other than to the immunity to electromagnetic interference and the capability of remote sensing. With regards to optical transduction, several configurations can be distinguished, such as, for instance, those based on refractive index sensing, fluorescence emission, intensity ones, and so on. This tutorial will focus in particular details on surface plasmon resonance sensors. In particular, SPR is a very sensitive technique able to determine refractive index variation at the interface between a ultra-thin metallic nanofilm and a dielectric medium. In particular, when the light is incident with an angle able to satisfy the resonance condition, an absorption dip appears into the reflected or transmitted spectrum according to the specific employed configuration, which is related to the refractive index of the medium in contact with the metal nanofilm. This physical phenomenon has been widely employed in configuration based on optical fibers. For instance, in this slide are reported several examples based on D-shaped optical fibers, on U-bent configuration, on tapered fibers, or another example based on heterocore structures. In this tutorial, we will focus on a simple optical platform based on D-shaped plastic optical fibers. To build this kind of optical probe, several fabrication steps are required. In particular, the POF is firstly embedded into a resin support and then polished by two different lapping sheets in order to obtain the D-shaped sensitive area. Subsequently, a photoresist buffer layer is deposited via a spin coating and finally, a 60 nanometer thick gold nanofilm is deposited by a spatter coater machine. The latter metal deposition is useful to excite the SPR phenomenon. This kind of optical probe is a general purpose one, and it presents a tiny dimension and a low cost of about $3. In particular, the used optical fiber, that is a plastic one, is particularly advantageous because of the excellent flexibility, other than the possibility of an easy manipulation and a great numerical aperture. This kind of optical probe can be monitored via several experimental configurations, which are here reported as possible examples. For instance, there are some experimental setups based on the use of Raspberry Pi or Arduino board, or in a more common way, the experimental configuration based on white light source and spectrometers. As previously stated, this kind of platform is a general purpose one, since several kind of receptors can be immobilized on the gold sensitive surfaces. And in this slide are reported some examples of receptors that can be used in couple with the SPRD-shaped POF platform, such as MIPS and nano-MIPS, which have been used for the detection of TNT, an important analyte in security applications, or, for instance, for the detection of perfluorinated compounds in environmental monitoring. With regards to bioreceptors, for instance, this kind of optical probe has been coupled with both antibodies or aptamers for the detection, for instance, of the celiac disease, or for the detection of tumoral biomarkers. And finally, also chemical receptors have been used for the detection of heavy metal ions, such as in the case of iron 3. An example of a POCT device for the detection of a bacterium is presented. The bacterium is the Brucella abortus, which is a very common bacterium which is found a widespread diffusion into a zoonotic environment, and which is the cause of several animal diseases, such as in the case of cows or sheep. And this bacterium causes two different kinds of effects, which can be distinguished into direct effects, such as animal abortion or death of infected animals, and indirect effects. In order to build a POCT device for Brucella abortus detection, the gold-sensitive surface has been modified by coupling it with antibodies specific for this bacterium. And as can be seen in this slide, the spectral monitoring of the successful immobilization of the antibody upon the gold-sensitive surface has been monitored. In this slide is shown an image of the POCT device, which is a very compact one, and which has been used to perform experimental measurement. While on the left of this slide it is reported an outline of the surface functionalization. More specifically, the gold-sensitive layer undergoes an overnight process with immersion in alpha-lipoic acid, and following this there is the activation of the carboxylic groups, and finally the receptor immobilization and then passivation. The produced immuno-SPR biosensor has been tested with several number of bacteria per milliliter of solution, and the results are reported in this slide. As can be seen, the SPR wavelength is shifted toward lower values at the increasing of the concentration of bacterium into the solution under test. While figure B reports the so-called dose response curve useful for quantification in real sample. This is the end of this tutorial, and I hope you will enjoy it.